So Ted, 27 months in, how would you assess where the two franchises are, and are you pleased with what you're seeing?
I'm pleased, but the work isn't done. So we're making progress. Progress isn't always linear, but if you look at the results on the field, last year on the Dash side, we qualified for the playoffs. We're still in playoff contention right now. On the Dynamo side, after a long run of poor results under new coaching and a new sporting side led by Pat Onstad and Asher Mendelson, we're currently, if the playoffs started today, we'd have home field, and we're competing for a championship at the U.S. Open Cup next week.
The unbeaten streak is the best since 2012. What have you seen out of this group that Ben Olsen has on the field?
I think what we see, and Pat and Asher were very intentional about doing this in the offseason, bringing in 17 new players, is creating a culture of winning. Whereas in the past, perhaps we had a culture of complacency and tolerated losing, we have guys who absolutely loathe it now. And so we have high expectations. We have players who have won championships in MLS and players who have won championships outside of MLS, and they're bringing that winning culture here, and they expect to win, and credit to Ben and his staff for bringing the best out of them.
We're sitting in this beautiful new space here at Shell Energy Stadium. When you were hired, you said, "I will provide adequate resources to make the Dynamo a winning team." Do you feel Dynamo fans at this very moment would say that you've lived up to that promise?
Well, I think I also said, if you go back to the tape on that one, it sounds like you might, Jason.
Did I get it out of context?
No,
okay.
you got it perfectly in context.
Okay.
But I think the point is that you will be able to tangibly measure that metric, and so you can just go and look at the salaries. And whereas we were down at the very bottom of the league, well, now we're at a level where there's no guarantees, but if you're spending at that level, you have a strong chance to compete for the playoffs year in, year out, and that is our objective. And so that's giving our staff and our resources, the resources to compete in terms of roster build. Then you talk about sitting here in this club, it's giving our fans a memorable experience, which is another thing that I think I said at that press conference as well. And so if you look at the changes we made over the last 27 months, here at Shell Energy Stadium, if you look at our training grounds at Houston Sports Park, collectively we've spent nearly $30 million in capital improvements, and you see that in replacing 17,000 seats here in Shell Energy Stadium to make it a more comfortable environment for our fans to experience a game, building out a 15,000 square foot club here to give our fans another offering within the stadium, building out that Shell Energy deck. This coming off season, bringing in new field level premium seating in terms of padded reclining style chairs for them to experience the game from a different vantage point, building new championship level pitches at our training grounds for our players on the Dynamo and Dash side, importantly, to practice on the type of field that they'll be playing on. So I said the work isn't done, it's not linear, but we are providing the resources on and off the field for our players and our fans.
I know you say it's not linear, and you said that twice now. Executives that you hired, let's be honest, swung and missed on their first coaching hires. Did they have to sell you on the idea of changing course so quickly? Both coaches didn't even last 300 days in their roles. Did they have to sell you on the idea of we need to make a change quickly? And why did you feel it was important for them to do so?
So a few things on that point. Number one, both Sam Lady and Paulo Nagamura, the coaches that we parted ways with, are people of the highest integrity and work ethic, and I wish them nothing but the best, and they did their very best here. I think when you recognize something isn't working, and it can be in any business, let alone sports, I think you do yourself a disservice if you keep sticking with something that isn't working rather than making a decision. So no, they didn't have to sell me. I think we were aligned on that. I think when you characterize it as a swing and a miss, yes, they weren't the choices that had the most successful outcomes. I do think what you will see in the hiring of Ben and in the search that Alex Singer, GM of the Dash, is doing now, is that they are each going to benefit. In the case of Ben, certainly we're seeing it with having the luxury of time in doing that search, doing it the right way, not feeling pressured to make a decision because the window into the coming season is shrinking by the day. And so with Ben, we had sufficient runway to identify Ben and make him our choice, and Alex will benefit from that as well this coming offseason.
When you mention a culture, and I don't think you want to speak for Pat and Alex, but do you feel that they were comfortable coming to you to say, this isn't working and we need to make a change? Do you think it was easy for them to do that? In the sense, not that the decision was easy, but that they felt comfortable enough with you to come to you and say, this isn't working?
I hope that they did. I think what helped sell them on coming into our organization from the beginning was the level of transparency that we're trying to cultivate here and the level of dialogue that I want to have with our staffs helmed by Pat and Alex. And so for each of them, we have a weekly call where we debrief on the past events and look forward to both the short-term and longer-term objectives. So when we're coming to a coaching change, for example, it doesn't take anybody by surprise because we're in frequent, consistent dialogue.
You're using Source Football, the analytics firm. Do you anticipate using them long-term, or do you believe that at some point you may create your own analytics department within this organization? Or is it too early to tell?
I think it's probably too early to tell. I think that they've been an outstanding resource for us. We have a very good rapport with them. They're known quantities within the league, and so we trust what they're able to do and deliver for us, and I think that's being demonstrated this year in some of the roster moves that we made. We are always looking to enhance and expand our staff if we think that's the prudent choice to make. And looking at the long-term budgeting, I know that analytics is something that we want to spend more on down the line.
What do you like about Ben Olsen as your head coach, other than the fact that he's winning games or not losing them?
Yeah, look, I think from a personality standpoint, I've said this frequently, I think he has a 100% approval rating. He is just a charming, engaging guy, and I think that translates to the way he's able to manage his players in trainings, and then consequently what he gets out of them on match day. He is a guy who has lived it. He's lived it for 25 years in this league. He knows what his players need and how to prep them to peak at the right times. I think, number one, he's an engaging personality who the skill of any coach is to get buy-in from his players and get them to their ultimate objective.
Although when he was first hired, I think there was a segment of the fan base that was, here's a guy that, not a retread, but a guy who has been there, done that, and it didn't really work that well. Did you hear that criticism when after you made the hire?
I certainly heard that criticism, and I took that criticism as a personal slight. And I took it as a personal slight, not against me, but against Ben. Knowing who Ben was, seeing him through the interview process, knowing the results that he had delivered in his past tenure at DC United, where he made the playoffs the majority of the time that he was there, sometimes under-resourced, under challenging circumstances, winning championships like the US Open Cup. And again, Ben is too engaging and centered of a guy to take that personally, but I took it personally for him, and I'm very glad that he's proving those naysayers wrong.
US Open Cup final against some guy who's taken the world and the league by storm. What are you looking forward to about this final in Fort Lauderdale?
Well, it's a great opportunity for our organization. I know our players are up to the task. From an organization standpoint, it shines a spotlight on our organization and our players and the level of quality of play that they've been delivering that maybe the uninitiated fan will be exposed to for the first time, and they'll see the level of play that we're performing at now and that we strive to maintain. From a player standpoint, I know that they are up to the task given, again, so many of them have competed for championships in the past. You look at somebody like Hector Herrera, he is somebody who has competed against Messi at the World Cup. Mm-hmm. He's competed against Messi in La Liga. So he's not going to back down, and I think he's going to set the example for the rest of our players.
Don Garber mentioned when he was here, I think he said that even he was a bit surprised by how much of an impact Messi has had on the league. Are you in that same camp? Are you surprised at the impact, how big it has been?
I think we all had very lofty expectations for what the addition of Messi to our league might do for our league, I think it has exceeded all of our expectations. So I think the commissioner is right. I think the level of attention globally on our league, we knew it was going to be high, but you can see it in terms of Apple TV subscriptions. You could see it in terms of social media impressions. You could see it from the global celebrities turning out at his matches in Miami and LA and elsewhere. And by the way, his performance on the pitch, we all had high expectations for it, but he is blowing that out of the water. So credit to him for coming here and performing at the highest of levels. So all that's to say, we all expected a lot, but I think he's going above and beyond that.
It reminds me a bit of the Tiger Woods effect when Tiger was at his peak. However, there's a downside to that. You have this ultimate rainmaker, and if he's not playing, the interest, I don't want to say evaporates, but there's not as much. Should the league be concerned about that moving forward, that everything is centered around one guy?
I don't think the league should be concerned about it, and I think the league has been thoughtful to make sure that this is a sustainable bump in enthusiasm. So of course, he is a singular talent who commands attention unlike any other player. That said, I think all of us as owners collectively recognize the unique opportunity that we have to elevate the product that we're delivering, and that's both on the field, but the experience for our fans who might be turning out for the first time to our stadiums, to not miss this opportunity. And I think what the league has done a great job of is we've captured a whole new set of fans who I would take issue with the idea that they will entirely evaporate when he moves on in a few years. Okay. They've borne witness to a quality of play that they might not have expected. And I'll point out specifically in the Leagues Cup, where we attracted the attention of a lot of Liga MX fans, who are which is the most watched league in this country, who saw our clubs go toe-to-toe and often beat their teams here in the U.S. So I think there's a newfound respect for our MLS clubs.
Onto the Dash, how disappointed are you with what's transpired on the field, coaching, in the sense that they were coming off such a great season and expectations were fairly high, I would say?
We're not in the position that we want to be in. That's why we made the change that we did. We recognize the level of talent that we have, which is very high on this team. That said, we are still in contention. We control our destiny, so to speak, and we know that if we win out, we have a very good chance to still make the playoffs. And so, I know that with interim coach Loden, they're taking it one match at a time. They did it last week in Louisville. They got the win, and they're just going to keep moving from there.
With Sarah, it seems as though when things get tough around here, this organization turns to her. This is her second term as an interim head coach. Will she get a fair shake at being the potential next head coach of the Dash?
She absolutely will get a fair shake. I think that she has demonstrated great leadership in 2022, taking the reins. And in 2023, I think the big difference is she is far more experienced, having now been in the role once. And professionally speaking, to get into the weeds a little bit, you progress as a coach by getting certain licenses that you do continuing education to get, and she has advanced very far to the highest level on that front too. So she's an entirely different coach than she was 18 months ago. So we certainly expect her to get a fair shake.
So just to be clear, she didn't have that certification the first time that she was.
She wasn't
to the
at
best
the
of your knowledge?
she was not at the level that she is now.
Okay, and then when you look at some of the players you've brought in for the Dash, Andressa from Brazil, what kind of impact? I mean, is she type like a Hector Herrera type for this organization?
Yeah. What we're looking to do is with signings like Andressa is just create opportunities for this very dangerous attack up front in Ordonez and Sanchez, while kind of solidifying the midfield. And I think we have a very quality group in people like Sophie Schmidt, people like Andressa. I mean, I could list the entire roster. I think we have a very competitive roster all the way back to Jane Campbell minding the goal for us. So like any team, we're going to just try to keep enhancing the roster and make us that much more competitive.
There's a little bit of a buzz around an event that's coming up here. October 8th, you have Tone Loc, Rob Bass, and Vanilla Ice doing a post-game concert here after the Dash game. Are those the type of things that really can fill a vacuum in Houston, or really make these two organizations, people want to come here and say, oh wow, they're doing something different? Is that the type of idea, out of the box thinking that I guess this organization could pride itself on?
Well, personally, I'm very excited about those three artists.
Yeah, I would be too. Come on, I think that's our wheelhouse.
Yeah,
right?
those late '80s, early '90s hit makers. You know, our kids might be saying who, but look, we're going to get plenty of fans in our age bracket. No, but seriously, I think the point is with events like that is that there is so much potential to utilize this stadium beyond just the traditional soccer matches that people witness here. And so we see this as having the opportunity to have more concerts here, more corporate events. We already have TSU football here. So this is one of the great venues in the city of Houston, and we need to utilize it more. And for our fans who might not have experienced an NWSL match, if Tone Loc and Vanilla Ice and Rob Bass are the ones who get them here for the first time, I'm convinced that when they get here, they're going to want to keep coming back, both because of the product on the field and the experience they have in the stadium.
And the feedback on the seats, you mentioned the 17,000 seats that were changed over to this new mesh that is cooler. I think it was 30% cooler. That's what the promotional material said. Are you getting feedback on the seats?
Yeah, I think people are happy about them, certainly more comfortable from a temperature standpoint. They finally have a place to put their arms or put their drinks, which didn't exist before. So it's minor.
It's the little things.
It's the little things.
It is though the little things.
It is the little things, and look, it's table stakes. And so we're proud to have it, but it should have been done a long time ago, but we're glad it's here now.
27 months from now, when we have another conversation, where do you hope these organizations are, other than, I imagine, contending for championships? Yeah,
so you mentioned the first one. We have three pillars that have guided us from that opening press conference and will really be our guide throughout our tenure as owners here. Number one is competing for championships, but it's consistently competing for championships. And so, look, we have a shot here, and we want to make sure that it's not a fluke and that year over year we're in the hunt. That's number one. Number two is giving our fans memorable experiences, whether or not we're winning on the field. And so enhancements to the stadium, having unique events like the one after the Dash game is important to leave our fans happy and wanting to come back. And number three, and I cannot overstate this one, is having a meaningful impact on our community. So I said also at that opening press conference that we're stewards of a community asset, that we have a unique platform as owners of a sports franchise to make an impact. And from day one, we have rededicated and refocused our efforts at Dynamo and Dash Charities to make that impact on the community. And so 27 months from now, I hope that across those three significant lines, we've made improvements and we keep growing from there.
Ted, thanks so much.
Thank you.